Welcome back to my channel, Star Booze.
I didn't go to acting school for very long. What I did learn was sense, memory, and how to weave your own life into your characters, I'll inform him. You changed your mind. Do you believe that someone who, once, agreed to be buried alive for a film scene would later reject an Oscar, a worthwhile duty only to grow plants? SpaceX did just that, and that's all a small portion of her remarkable unique existence. She'd never had dazzling Hollywood look, was never pursued. Scandal never relied on a public relations team, orchestrating her every action, but she made the world fall silent with her. Carrie has a lifeless, eerie stare. She became Loretta Lynn and coal miners. Daughter, she didn't only act, she sang. She lived it to the point where Loretta myself said, "She didn't play me." I became SpaceX after being rejected, multi-million-dollar films to stay at home, with her children at the peak of fame. She moved out of the spotlight to live an authentic life on a mountain farm, with her spouse made the sets for her. In movies, she walked past every award, standing ovation continues as if none. If it ever mattered, 6 Oscars. Nominations, 3 films are inducted. The National Film Registry, 5 nominated. For Best Picture, but her name rarely found on the typical legendary items that the public can remember by heart because she died before becoming a name. She lived to avoid losing oneself in art and in life. If you believe you know who, SpaceX is forgetting everything. Because real narrative is more touching and unexpected, and far deeper is only just beginning. Spat was born on December 25th, in 1949. Quitman, Texas, a small town of about 90 miles from Dallas. Her birth name was Mary Elizabeth Spacek with her father. Edwin Spacek was an agricultural agent for Virginia. Her mother is of Czech-German heritage. Frances was a homemaker with Irish. She has English ancestry from her paternal side. The family had lived in Texas for, her grandfather had even generations. Served as mayor of a small town named Granger, is the youngest child in the family. SpaceX grew up in a rural setting. Her childhood was spent on horseback, riding, climbing, swimming, and despite her lack of formal education, she engaged in outdoor activities. Early on, she demonstrated artistic direction. Since a young age, she has had a passion for acting. She was particularly close to her older brother Robbie Spacek, who was thought the ideal figure in the family. In 1967, Robbie died from leukemia. At the age of 18, it occurred throughout Sissy's senior year at high school. She later described it as the major turning event in my life. Shortly afterward, SpaceX abandoned her intention to. During an interview, she stated that she will attend college. Life is too short to waste 4 years. In the classroom, she moved her attention to the arts, began with music, and eventually expanded too. The nickname was given to the actor. Robbie gave it to her when she was younger, would ultimately become the stage name. That followed her throughout her career. Her Texas. Childhood intimacy with nature, personal loss would cause trauma. Spacek's lifestyle is shaped by artistic sensibility is calm and unassuming, but profoundly grounded and steadfast. Appreciation for life's core values, the desire of becoming a singer in 1969-80, only 19 years old, SpaceX began her artistic journey through music performed under the stage name Rainbow. She released her debut track named John. You Went Too Far This Time. The song was a direct response to a scandalous naked photograph of John E. Lennon and Yoko Ono appeared on the cover of the Two Virgins album. From the standpoint of a disgruntled fan, lyrics provided a calm but pointed critique. John, I love you, but you left too far this time. SpaceX cited Lennon's more the fanciful and inventive era during Sgt. Pepper and Lucy in the Sky. diamonds, but also expressed her dissatisfaction of public nudity implying it. I crossed a line that should not have been. Regardless of its timely theme, the single was not commercially successful, chart or gain traction shortly after Roulette Records removed Spacek from their roster, adding to the hurdles she faced when auditioning for Decca Records rejected her again. Time to sound too similar. To Loretta, Lynn is the label's reigning star at the following. These back-to-back disappointments. Spacek gave up on her musical dreams and resorted to acting. Rather than representing the first major turning at some point in a career, Spacek spans across 5 decades in 1972. Her first film role was in Prime, Cut, starring alongside industry veterans Lee Marvin and Gene Hackman. She played Poppy. A little girl is sold into prostitution. Psychologically taxing position, even if. She played a supporting role a year later, landed her first leading role in Badlands. Terrence Malick directed the 1973 film, a critical point in her career in the film. Spacek presented Holly Sargis as naive. A dreamy 15-year-old girl gets caught up in a killing spree, with her boyfriend played Martin Sheen's picture was inspired on. The genuine crime narrative was narrated with minimalistic and emotionally distant narrative style on the Badlands set. Spacek spoke with Jack Fisk, the film's production designer. The two instantly fell in love and married in 1974. They went on to cooperate on many planned projects for Spacek's Badlands. It was more than just a professional springboard, a transformation in artistic consciousness. In an interview, she once stated, "That picture was I realized that cinema could be a true type of art." The significant turning point in Spacek's career began in 1976. She was cast as Carrie White in Carrie. Brian Dielma's horror version of Stephen King's debut novel. Dielma considered other actresses, including Melanie Griffith and Betsy Slade, but Spacek was desperate to win. She showed up for the position to prove it. Her audition appearance was as unkempt as it's probable she was wearing an old sailor dress. Her mother sewed for her as a child, slicked her hair down with Vaseline skipped, cleaning her face and brushing her teeth, and maintained an unnerving blank stare. Her expression during the session, the shift was so dramatic that the director changed his mind and awarded her, after winning the post at Spacek, she demonstrated an unusual amount of commitment. She secluded herself from the rest of cast and decorated her dressing room, using Gustave Dor's biblical images and holy icons to immerse. In Carrie's Harmed Terribly, repressed inner universe in the film's climactic prom scene where Carrie is Spacek dressed in pig's blood. Blood-soaked clothing for 3 entire days. Without bathing or changing, to maintain the sensation of revulsion, discomfort, and rising wrath. Most especially in the closing moment, Carrie's hand emerges from the grave. Space at sea declined to hire a body double and insisted on her husband Jack Fisk's burial her in the dirt so they can shoot it. In reality, her performance earned her Academy Award nomination for the Best Actress, a remarkable accomplishment for the prom scene in a horror film includes blood. Streaming down her scary, empty eyes, a stare became an iconic pop culture picture. Constantly mentioned and replicated in films, television, cosplay, and general popular culture. Carrie was more than just a personal breakthrough, spurred the surge of Stephen King's big-screen adaptations, setting the groundwork for one of the longest-lasting trends in American cinema since the 1970s. Commercially, Carrie was a surprising hit. Made on a low $1.8 million budget. It generated almost $33.8 million, more than 18 times its cost. The film is huge. Success not only boosted Spacek's tosterdom, but also launched the Stephen King's cinematic universe, which continue. for decades. In 1980, Spacek took on one of most demanding assignments in her career, portraying country music legend. Loretta Lynn stars in the biopic Coal Miner's Daughter, directed by Michael Apted. Before Spacek is officially accepted, Loretta Lynn appeared in The Tonight Show and openly announced, I want Spacek to play me. Extraordinary portion, Lynn had never seen any of Spacek's films. She chose her solely for intuition that one statement is practically sealed the casting despite. She was unsure if she could stand up to the task, unlike many biopics, where actors lip-synced. To Spacek learned to use pre-recorded vocals, sing with an Appalachian accent, dog guitar, and played all the songs herself, including the titular song, Coal Miner's Daughter went on tour. Loretta is taping song lyrics to her bedroom lamp so she could memorize everything. The two became as close as sisters. Lynn guided her every step of the way. How to walk, talk, and sing, how to look at an audience. More surprisingly, Spacek portrayed Loretta from age 13 until her 30s, without the aid involving excessive makeup or special effects through performance alone. The stance, voice, and presence she created, audiences believed Loretta was alive. Again on screen, the role earned Spacek the Academy Award for Best Actress and a Grammy nomination. An incredible feat for a picture. The daughter of actor Coal Miner made $67 million and became among the top 10. The top-grossing films of 1980 include. She was praised in film, but the music industry also embraced her as a genuine vocalist. Loretta Lynn once said, moved to tears. She didn't play me. Became the film. Was inducted into the U.S. Library of Congress for its cultural significance. Historical and aesthetic, Rolling Stone is significant for its variety, and several top critics have ranked her. Performance among the greatest screen transformations in film history, the popularity of Coal Miner's Daughter paved the way for a wave of women musician biopics are directly impacting. Later works, such as Walk the Line, Witherspoon portrays June. Carter and Judy Renee Zellweger portrays Judy Garland beyond accolades Space and Loretta Lynn. They remained longtime friends until Loretta passed away in 2022. Spice once stated, it wasn't just it was a part of my existence. In Costa Gavras political drama, Missing Space played Beth Hormone, an American wife, urgently hunting for her disappearance. Husband following a brutal coup in Chile. With Jack Lemmon, she formed a famous on-screen pairing, one loaded with wrath, the other crushed by mute grief. Few were aware that the film's script kept Spacek stayed awake for several nights after being triggered. Horrible recollections of her helplessness. Felt when she lost her brother Robbie. The most terrible event for her. I wasn't just playing someone. I was searching for a loved one and playing myself, she said. Following the film's premiere, both she-threats were made against the director, due to the film's content as being branded anti-American, but Spacek persisted. Unfazed when a performance is under attack means it has power in the job. Garnered her a third Oscar nod missing, won the Palme d'Or in Cannes, become one of the most significant. Political films from the decade in the river Spacek converted into May Garvey. A woman and mother from rural America, struggling to maintain her ancestral land amid floods, debt, and threats from corporations. The entire movie was filmed on a genuine farm. In Tennessee, freezing rain and knee-deep mud Spacek learnt to harvest. Rice bale water, cut firewood, insisted on performing every scene. One especially frightening scene, which had no conversation shown her. Silently watched the crops float away. In the flood, not a single word was heard. That frozen look was not in the script was Spacek's idea. And the director kept repeating, "You can't write that kind of emotion." She earned her fourth. Nominations for Best Actress continue, establishing her reputation as an actor who didn't need spectacle. Only truth, after coal miner's daughter, Spacek entered the most mature and prolific phase of her career after only 5 years. She won 3 straight Academy Awards, award nominations for Best Actress. For portraying calm women with extraordinary endurance in Crimes of the Heart, Spacek took on dark comedy as Babe Betrell, a woman wounded by psychological trauma. She shoots her violent spouse and then casually eats a piece of cake as if nothing happened during her greatest challenge. Expressed grief without falling. Into dramatization. In one flashback scene, she entirely cut the dialogue. She behaved entirely with her eyes throughout. The set went silent, and the director hesitated. But preserved the take. It was too real. I didn't want people to pity the babe I sought. I wanted them to be bewildered. She laughed and shuddered simultaneously, stated that the performance got her a 5th. Oscar nomination affirms her remarkable gift. For transforming damaged, unconventional transformed characters into actual, breathing humans. Toward the late 1980s and into the 1990s, she appeared infrequently. Spacek is frequently shown on large screens. Continues to deliver outstanding results. Performances return, sparkling. She received critical acclaim as Pinky Rose. Robert Altman's 3 Women features a naive, fragile girl trapped in a psychologically complicated relationship with her roommate. The film had no set storyline and was based on Altman's dream. Spacek acted. Based solely on instinct, the outcome was performance is both elegant and scary. Altman described her as one of the finest. The most instinctive actors I've ever worked with, Night Mother, a film starring only 2 characters set solely inside. A house Spacek depicted a woman calmly. She informed her mother that she planned to take her own life. No outbursts. Screaming, only a terrifying stillness. The film was shot in sequence, permitting emotions to build like they would in real life. Spacek later acknowledged that it was a role she could not shake for weeks after filming. In Affliction, she featured briefly as a waitress, but her character was an emotional anchor for the seriously afflicted. The male lead played a tiny role, completely via the eyes of someone who has spent a lifetime with disappointment and resignation. Then followed The Straight Story by David Lynch, where she returned in a softer manner, light as a stuttering denture wearer, a short-haired woman with a pure heart. Prepare. Spacek followed a woman I stuttered in real life, repeating anything she said. I wasn't mocking. I was learning, she explained. Character. Small, quiet, unforgettable. Demonstrated that Spacek did not require huge scripts to leave a lasting impression. After years out in the spotlight, Spacek returned to the independent. In the film In the Bedroom, she played Ruth. Fowler was a mother who was secretly devastated by her only son died, and there were no shouting fits or dramatic breakdowns, just small motions, a twisted lip, silently turn the head, yet each cut deep like a dagger to the heart. Todd Field, the film's director, recalled, "We did not have the budget for many takes. However, one was sufficient every time." The frame was Spacek stated that this job was gold, culmination of all she had lived. Through grief, restraint, and motherhood, maybe that's why Ruth didn't feel like any performance for this job. Spacek got her 6th Oscar nominations and won the Golden Globe. Independent Spirit Award and a series of Critics Awards from New York to Lost from Los Angeles to Boston. In the Bedroom, also nominated for Best Picture at, the Oscars represent a milestone that confirmed even in her absence. Space returned, and she returned at Spacek once won at the outstanding level, Oscar, and is considered a Hollywood legend, yet off-screen, she is a grounded. The simple woman's marriage began with a fairly unusual event, a boat sinking. In 1972, while filming Badlands, she met Jack. Fisk is the film's production designer, played Holly, while Jack quietly created the world in which Holly lived. They were both in their 20s. Unknown, and no one expected this to be the start of a marriage that Jack had developed something that would last more than 50 years. This lovely treehouse beside the river told Texas Monthly. One day, he invited me to paddle out there, but this a big flash, flood struck, and the boat sank. I knew immediately that life with Jack was going to never be. Uninteresting. Several years later, in 1974, they getting married without a wedding dress, both wearing war pants, and held a private ceremony in a modest chapel in California. Their only witness, their dog, immediately after the ceremony. They opened a bank account. Deposited $30 as the exact fee for divorce. We figured if we traveled south, we would already have the money. I told folks that I believe it will probably do something dramatic, like death to separate. They didn't marry based on a fairy tale. They came united due to values. They shared a passion for film. Making enjoyed the work, and most importantly, they understood one another's craftsmen we met while working. The Huffington Post, and throughout the In the 1970s, we worked together on practically every picture. That brought us together through our shared passion of filmmaking, is what still holds us together. Today, Jack Fisk wasn't simply her spouse, he was her most trusted and creative partner. Together, they made films like Carrie, Raggedy Man, Violets Are Blue, and many. There is no jealousy or rivalry between us. Complement each other, Jack told Rolling Stone. We frequently emphasize how fortunate we are to continue doing what we love with the one we adore. In 1981, at the peak of their careers, they made a brave decision. I left Hollywood and purchased a 210-acre horse farm in Central Virginia, where they reared their two girls. Skylar and Madison are at peace far from camera flashes and box office charts. They left everything behind. What remained was a lifelong love forged through work, tried by time and bound by profound. Jack's spirit was not in sync, just the man who built the sets for her. Characters he created the world in which her actual existence could take root, and she always knew that while her peers pursued growing renown, multi-million-dollar bargains, and unending red carpets, Spacek gently stepped back from the. She didn't retire, she simply turned her focus to the silence. Things Hollywood couldn't offer. Her, in 1981, in the height of its fame. Space. Her spouse, production designer Jack Fisk, fled L.A. for a 210-acre. They farm in the Virginia mountains. Daughters were born quickly when they grew, up like real country kids, running barefoot through fields, riding horses, harvesting crops, barely conscious of their the mother was an Oscar-winning movie star. Spacek's eldest daughter, Skylar Fisk, was raised in a secluded countryside, surrounded by green grass and smelling of horse manure and afternoon strumming. Skylar, there's a guitar on the front porch, still gravitated toward the arts as if by instinct. She became a singer. Songwriters and actresses even composed music for projects her mother appeared. In an interview, Skylar once said, "My mom never told me what I should do. She simply lived in a way that I could see, and learned by doing it honestly and living it." There's no need for. There's a lyrical parallel here. Her mother sang all of the vocals. Coal miner's daughter. Without dubbing, Skylar has written and performed a song. In the independent film, I do commend for its Madison, simplicity, and real feeling. Fisk, the youngest daughter, took different route visual. However, art remains a reflection of. She dislikes her inner world. Highlight something many say. I assume she acquired it from her mother. Mom taught us that art does not need applause if you believe in it. That's enough. Madison once shared what surprised Hollywood the most was SpaceX actually turned down huge. Her most famous roles came while she was presented the lead in terms of endearment. Shirley M. Lan received an award for this role. Oscar SpaceX said no, which was why I planting and my daughter needed me. It was not a one-time thing throughout. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Spacer fused high-profile roles to continue to something most people consider little. You may have family meals in Hollywood. Always do one more film than another. You only have one chance to raise your child for almost 4 decades. Within the entertainment business, SpaceX has been praised not merely for its excellent acting talent, but also for her natural beauty and distinctiveness personality. Although since the 1980s a rumor has spread through the media and admirers alike, did she undergo a nose job change her appearance? Side-by-side shots from different phases of SpaceX career reveals modest changes. In the form of her nose remains beautiful. Experts such as Dr. Michael Jones have indicated that these adjustments could easily be ascribed to natural aging and cosmetics procedures, not surgical interventions. What's noteworthy about SpaceX has never verified nor refuted the rumors. Her silence for 40 years has, many have viewed this as a statement, a quiet stand for honesty, and an unwillingness to adapt to Hollywood's beauty standards. In the entertainment world, where appearance is unrelenting, questioned SpaceX's commitment to her natural style and untouched beauty. She has influenced many people and is now a symbol of confidence and genuineness. Demonstrate that real beauty comes from self-acceptance. Self-love. Whether or not there was cosmetic intervention, Spacek remains a wonderful example of strength. A person with integrity, resolutely maintained her personal values in the spotlight. SpaceX may not be a name you hear often, found on lists of silver screen queens. However, when you look at what she has done, it's difficult to grasp why she hasn't been positioned where she truly belongs. She is one of the few actresses throughout history will receive 6 Academy Award nominations for Best Actress. A rare feat, and what's more amazingly, the 6 jobs are substantially different spans, wholly separate. She appeared in 5 films of various genres. Were nominated for Best Film in the Oscars, Coal Miner's Daughter, 1980, Missing, 1982, JFK, 1991, In the Bedroom Room, 2001. The Help. In 2011, she also released 3 films. The U.S. Library of Congress has picked Congress for preservation of their cultural history and aesthetics significance. Badlands, he died in 1973. Carrie, 1976. Coal Miner's Daughter, 1980. In 2011, she was awarded a star in Hollywood Walk of Fame and was already inducted into the Texas Film Hall of. She was born in the state of fame. Filmmakers, SpaceX is known as someone who doesn't need much direction, since she inhabits each of her own characters intuitively. She once stated that she never, instead, she formally studied acting. I learned to experience feelings that the instinctual approach became her trademark raw, grounded, and completely authentic. Filmmakers like Terrence Malick, David Lynch, and Todd Field have each lauded her capacity to take on a role rather than simply play it perfectly in her rendition of Carrie. White from Carrie was ranked number 63 in Premiere Magazine's list of the 100 best movie characters of all time. One of the rare horror roles that made the cut to numerous younger actors, SpaceX, represents an example of artistic honesty. Someone who does not seek attention, but leaving behind anything deep, ringing every time she goes away. As she once observed, "I don't strive to, I'm just trying to be honest." Each character. And via this unflinching honesty, she's left a deep compared to many who devoted their careers center stage. Spacek has never. She declared her retirement aged 75, still working and taking up roles, still choosing everything on her own. In 2025, she appeared in the FX. In the Hulu series Dying for Sex, Gail Molly's mother is represented by Michelle Williams' show, quickly placed in the top 10 most watched programs. In the United States within its first week, proving Spacek's attraction hasn't diminished in the same. This year, she also participated in the film Project. Die My Love is a buzzworthy production, featuring Jennifer Lawrence, Loretta Lynn directed Patson, and Nick Nolte. Ramsey Spacek's name was not top billed. Her presence had weight, as if signifying that the film was worthwhile. Paying attention to her off-screen life remains connected to the 210-acre farm in Virginia, where she lives with her husband Jack Fisk has lived since. 1981. Nature is my church. It's where I find comfort, she once advised. No noise. There's no scandal, just a life filled with woods horses' morning coffee on the porch, and afternoon walks with the dog. In April 2024, she and Fisk celebrated. The couple celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary, appeared together at the 96th Academy. Awards are accompanied by two daughters. Skylar is a singer-songwriter and actress, and Madison is a visual artist. There was no comeback. It was just a family. Moment, a silent legend walks beside her loved ones with nothing to prove. In an era where popularity frequently comes at the cost of self-Spacek is at proof of alternative method to exist consistently, serene, and hesitant to trade authenticity for loud recognition, despite her on-screen appearances becoming uncommon every time she returns individuals. Listen as a freckled blonde girl walks into Hollywood without beautiful outfits or explosive scandals, but with clear eyes, sweet southern voice, and a gift for disappearing entirely into her roles. Spacek from the blood-soaked Carrie is singing Loretta Lynn from a grieving wife to a mourning mother, spent more than 50 years in film without ever losing herself. She never pursued the title of box office queen every time she emerged, and spectators were enthralled. 6 Oscar nominations, 5 films up. For Best Picture, 3 preserved in the National Film Registry, has 1 star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and generations of actresses who see her as a guide. The only thing lacking is the light. She received widespread recognition. Have we become too accustomed to celebrate loudly while disregard those who silently define the standard in this day of constantly refreshing? Maybe it's time we halt and ask, what exactly does it mean to be a legend? If you've seen Carrie, you probably recall the bloody prom scene. That empty expression wasn't just film. Pain, honesty, and a single moment seared into memory. Continue viewing Spacek's films, and interviews are not merely to remember a face. That helped influence film history, but acknowledge what's undeniable about her, truly excellent and worthy of who deserves the highest recognition. Next, examine another artist who was misunderstood, underestimated, or made you think your youth. Write a remark below. Please like and subscribe if you believe this journey was worth sharing and worth hearing. Tap the screen to select the What is the next tale you wish to discover?